Hey guys, welcome to Motorcycle Maintenance Channel. Today I'm going to show you how to mount two different slip-on exhaust. One's going to go on a R3 Yamaha, the other one's going to go on a CBR1000. They're both side-mounted exhaust systems, so you're going to see that the procedure for this 300 and that 1000cc bike is going to be very similar. And this is going to be the M4 exhaust we put on the 1000, and we're going to do a stock exhaust on this 300. The only time it's going to be different putting on a slip-on exhaust is if it's going to be like an undertail exhaust, like some of the CBR 1000s, or maybe a Ducati exhaust, which is a little different. But for most of your side-mounted exhaust, the procedure is going to be very similar. So our R3 had the Akrapovic exhaust stolen off of it. So that's why we're sticking the stock exhaust back on. But if this was an Akrapovic exhaust or an SC Project or whatever, it'd be the same procedure. So we're just going to mount it to the hole. There's none to take off because, well, they took it off already. So mount it there. All right. This is going to be a stock exhaust, so it's going to be a 10 millimeter on the stock bolt. And it's just a C-clamp, so we're not going to really, there's no real torque specification. Well, I'm sure there is, but if this is an aftermarket part, you're going to want to do whatever torque the aftermarket part says. But we're just going to make it snug on there. These are not factory bolts. These are just some offhand bolts I had because, as we mentioned before, this bike was stolen and a lot of the bolts are missing. So there's no real sense in me calling out the size of these bolts to you, just because they're just random bolts. And ta-da! Your slip-on is on the R3. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you how to do a slip-on exhaust on a CBR 1000. And the reason we're doing it on my bike here, as you can see, my $1,000 SC Project exhaust that came with the bike from the previous owner got dented in pretty good. I was at the track just practicing for a race up at Crescent, and a guy in a black R6 thought the best way to do an inside pass on me was to plant his bike into my exhaust and force me off the track at 100 miles an hour. And I did a little 100-yard tumble and broke a couple of ribs and scratched a lung, was coughing up blood there for a little bit, but we're getting better. So I'm going to show you how to put on this nice M4 exhaust made here in Texas, and we're going to take off my beautiful crunched up SC Project exhaust. And in doing so, we'll probably also show you the difference in the sound of the two exhausts. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to take this and take this bolt off. This is an aftermarket part, so these parts are probably different. Though I think that might be a stock bolt. It's a 6 millimeter Allen wrench. And I'm holding the back of it, which is not a stock part. It was a 13 millimeter. Nut. I'm just going to kind of back it out. There we go. And just like on the R3, there's going to be one bolt here and then another bolt connecting it to the catalytic converter down there. It does hurt just a tad bit to get in these positions. like we said before, there's no crying in motorcycles. This is made possible by Advil. All right, we got her. Nice and pinched in the bottom. That had to go. That was a lot of flow that wasn't going to happen. Now we're going to put this one. It's all plugged up, but that's just the baffle. We're going to take that baffle out. But it's nice that this one comes with that option, because if you ever want to ride at Laguna Seca, you have to have a baffle in your exhaust, and I don't think SC Project you can put a baffle on it. So that's nice to have that option. I'm sure my neighbors would prefer that I leave the baffle in, but it's not going to sound as cool. So I'm just going to slip it on, hence the name, slip on. And clean this off over here. And I got my little black Sharpie. I like to call this bike makeup. Just kind of a little bit of eyeliner for the old girl. And when that dries, no one will know the difference. Well, I mean, they might know, but not from far away, you know. All right. Actually, hold on one second. Before we do that, let me see. Ah, yes, the SC Project is a little lighter. A little titanium versus steel. But, you know, $1,000 versus $300. I'll just have to eat a few less cupcakes this month and should be okay. All right. See the hole? I actually like that it looks smaller like that. You can see the swing arm better this way. It was a little heavier though. There we go. All right, guys, we got a 5mm Allen key for the M4 stock bolt. And we'll just twist it till it's nice and snug. No torque specs from M4 on this, which is fine. We're just going to make it tight. Nut on the back here. Come in with our 6mm. I think this is an M10 threaded screw. Push it through there. All right, there she is. And she's in. And we'll come back with a little bolt. And do this. So, I'm just going to hold it there with my finger while I tighten it, you know, finger tight, and then we'll hold it with the 13mm crescent wrench to get it completely tight. Okay. And we're going to just tighten it up. There we go. So a good thing about these aftermarket parts, I'm going to shout out Woodcraft here. They're not sponsoring us or anything, but Woodcraft rear sets and Woodcraft handlebars, they're meant for this kind of stuff, this kind of action. And we're going to do an episode later that shows you how to replace a Woodcraft handlebar and a Woodcraft gear shifter on the other side. And they're meant to take a beating. You know, you take it off and put it on, but that'll be on another episode. But as you can see, our M4 new slip-on is on, and we'll be ready to get back out there again. And you have to throw something a little bit bigger than an R6 at Dr. Speed Lemon to keep them down next time. All right, guys, stay out of the grease.